It's Brittany. So, today I'm going to do a popcorn chat video. So, today we'll be discussing going into depth on the movie Scream 4. And Scream 4 is also one of my favorite Scream movies. All of them are. And so with Scream 4, we get this different story where it's this, where it's a little bit more of a story, you know, about the media and everything. And I would say this one was ahead of its time because this one had came out in 2011, and this was, I think, before, um, of course, media was still a thing at the time, but I think they just made it a little bit more of that of the movie itself. So, but I think at the time when it came out, I think that's where a lot of people didn't um, like it, and that I think they were just hoping for something else, which of course I completely understand. But looking back on it, I would say this is still good. It's still a good Scream movie. I just don't like the only thing that bothers me is the glare. Kind of like the reboot glare in a way. So yeah, that I don't like. But other than that, I like the story. I like how this was ahead of its time of focusing on like just like the media and just like different aspects, of the movie and telling this story. And it was just different. It's different from, of course, 2 and 3. And yeah, I like it. I still enjoy it. And the cast is great. I love the cast. And they're all great. I love their performances, and each one was just perfect for the roles that they had. Because Emma Roberts, she was great for her role of Jill Roberts, and yeah, because at first she seemed like this very likable character. She seemed almost like this innocent character, like Sydney, but we came to find out that's not true. And then there's Hayden. I'm sorry, I did not say that right. Hayden Panettiere, which she plays Kirby Reed, and I love her, and I love her performance as Kirby, and it's just great. And yeah, it's amazing. Because she's a really great actress, and I just love her performance as Kirby, and of course David Arquette as Dewey. I mean, who doesn't love that character? But yes, he's also great, and just love him as Dewey. And Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, and of course she's just great too. And I love her, and I love her performance as Gail. Like, wow, she's sassy, and she just, she's bold, and she's just has this like fire side to her, and of course I love that. And seeing this uh personality of hers, which I think she was perfect for that role. And of course seeing her playing Gail again, it was just great. And of course, Nev Campbell as Sydney Prescott, which of course is also just really great. Um, she's also one of my favorite actresses as well, and I love her and seeing her performance again as Sydney in Scream 4. So yeah, I pretty much love all of them, they're all great. And I love, like I said, I love their performances in this one. And so, and to see these characters come to life, it was just great to see. And of course, there's just some other characters I don't like, but of course, that's okay. It's okay to not like certain characters, no matter what movie it is. Um, so yes, like I said, the cast is great, and the performances of these characters are just great. And this is also a very watchable movie sequel in the Scream franchise, and I just love it. And let's see, I love the music to this as well. It's just, I just love it though. It's quite, I don't know how to describe it, but there are some parts where it is quite intense, and it just really makes it, it just really blends in within Scream 4 of the story and characters and everything. And yeah, I also love the costume designs for the characters, which I think which was great. And of course, I do like the setting of it, the location of it. Although, like I said, the whole thing about the glare, like the reboot glare of it, should not have been included, should not have been added. But like I said, other than that, that's okay. Um, but I also love that Wes Craven did a good job directing this movie, and yeah, um, of course it is sad that he's no longer here with us, but I'm because with the other ones he directed, including this one, he did such a great job, because that's what he's best known for, and that's directing horror movies, because that was his gift. His gift was able to direct these great um, horror movies. And so with this one, he did a good job, and I enjoyed this one. And so, what the story of this? So, but the fact that, of course, there is another Ghostface killer, and not knowing who this is, or who they may be. Um, this is just, it's just, quite interesting. And what I find interesting is that just when Sydney had came back to her hometown, that these murders took place, of these two girls that were murdered. Um, and so, yeah, it was just, and the thing is, because as we are getting to know these characters, of course, back on the we're back at the beginning. We're back on the suspect list. Like, okay, so who is it that we suspect? Who is it that we believe that could be the Ghostface killer, or the Ghostface killer, or killers? And so, and of course, there was Sydney's cousin. And now, of course, as we are introduced to Sydney's cousin, to Kirby, and everything, and so I remember as we were introduced to Jill, I thought, okay, I really hope that her cousin is not the killer, because her half brother, which she had never known, she never knew that she had, and she had never met before up until the end, which was then revealed that he was. And so I thought, well, what one family member that she never even knew about, that she never even met before until then, and she had found that out. I'm pretty sure it must have come not only as a shock to her, but I think that must have been devastating to have known that. So I was hoping that. I thought, okay, I hope at least someone in Sydney's family is not the killer. But then, of course, turns out that wasn't true. She turned out to be. And, and then with Kirby, you know, I felt like pretty much from what we see of Kirby, I felt like there was nothing about her that made it feel like, oh yeah, she could be. No, I didn't get that feeling at all. And of course, there's Robbie, there's Charlie, but then of course, I didn't really get that feeling from Robbie, but from Charlie, yeah, because I feel like there's something off about him. And yeah, I was also just really hoping that Joe would not be one of the Ghostface killers. And so, of course, like I said, as we get into this story, uh, it's just going on a different take. And like I said, I actually quite enjoyed it, and it's just like I said, quite interesting, and it's just different. But of course, you know, going back on the suspect list of who could be the Ghostface killer or killers, it's, I would say that in a way is quite interesting, but exciting at the same time, because it's like, okay, who's it gonna be? Who is it that could be the Ghostface killer here, or killers? And so, yeah, like I said, that is just interesting itself. And I think when all this was happening because she was coming back to her hometown. So it was like, so that felt like they pretty much did that on purpose. You know, it certainly felt like that. And I think that was no coincidence to that happening. And so, and like I said, as we're getting to know these characters, of course, like, there are just some characters where I think to each of us it's different, where there are some where we feel like we could trust them and they don't seem like they could be the killer, but then they turn out to be, or there's some that we do as suspect, and then they actually turns out that one of them or both of them are. And so, yeah, that's quite interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure if there was anything about Jill and Charlie that gave anything away that could have been maybe hinted that they were. Um, but I certainly felt that. Like, okay, with Charlie, I have suspected it was him only because to me he seemed just a little too quiet, and he just didn't seem like the kind of character where, you know, he seemed different, so that the way he was kind of quiet in a way, yeah, it just made me feel like, okay, I feel like something's off here about him. I felt like there was something else to him that felt off. And with Jill, I felt like there was something she said that made me feel like, okay, why did she say that? Because there is a scene where her and Sydney were talking in the kitchen, and I noticed this. And for those who are Scream fans and have noticed maybe little things here and there, is that when I notice what she takes out of the fridge, it's like this, I think half gallon of chocolate milk and a cheese stick. And I'm thinking like, okay, why? Like, is she gonna have them both? Like, is she really gonna have this little snack of a cheese stick and then have herself like um half of the gallon of chocolate milk? Like, is she gonna really drink it straight out of the carton? I mean, why not pour a glass of chocolate milk? But that's what I noticed. I'm like, what? Like, they're both dairy products, so it's like you can have one or the other. But I think someone read something of to why she was having both. I forgot what the reason was. But whether that was the reason or not, I just thought that seemed odd. And because I don't know, I think it's also quite strange for someone to drink either milk or chocolate milk right out of the carton. Like, why not just pour a glass? Because if other people are gonna have milk or chocolate milk, then after you're drinking it, then some of your saliva, some of your you know some of the bacteria, of course, is gonna get right back into the carton of milk or chocolate milk, and no one would want to be drinking that if you're drinking it out of the carton. So it would be best to just pour a glass of milk or chocolate milk. Now, that's just the truth, though. So I was just curious to why she got both. Like, what was the reason? Like, was she having some kind of weird craving of some kind of appetite to have both of a cheese stick and chocolate milk? I mean, I don't think that would go mix well together. I don't think so. No. I think, to me, this is how I see it, that um, if she was gonna have a cheese stick, why not have like a ham sandwich with it? Or if she was gonna have chocolate milk, then not to have a cheese stick with it, but just to maybe, I don't know, just maybe just have the chocolate milk itself, like as a nice treat of a drink. So that's just how I see it. So yeah, that I was so confused by that. Like, huh? What is she doing? Is she having weird cravings or something? But I don't know if that can be explained. But anyway, um, so yeah, as with this conversation that takes place in the kitchen, that she was telling her how she saved her life last night, and she was saying to her, like, I know we're family, but you hardly know me. So her saying, I'm like, okay. Now, now, at first when she said that, I didn't really thought anything about it, but somehow that did seem a little odd, because it's like, even though even though it's true that they're family, and even though they probably had never met before and that they don't really know anything about each other, but still, I mean, her saying that just seemed, I don't know, odd. And another thing that seemed odd to me is when she was saying, she was saying to her, like, how do you do it? Like, with people staring at you all the time, and Sydney's surprised. She's like, wow, but people stare at me? I think, whether that's something Sydney had noticed herself or not, I don't think she would care to notice if people were staring at her. And then she goes on to tell her, um, I can never handle that kind of attention. And she was saying, I feel like it could take over your whole life. And then then Sydney goes on to tell her cousin, um, that what she do is that she doesn't think of herself, and that she thinks of other people that she cares about, and that her book is on them. And so, as she's saying this, we could see that Jill has a certain look on her face, but then her face gets a little serious. And then she takes off. She says, "Well, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm gonna go to my cell. I mean, my room." But then, even though she jokes about that, her room being her cell, but the thing is, um, I think when she did say this about how she could never handle that kind of attention because she felt it could take over your whole life. Now, she never meant that, but she only said that because she was putting on the act and because I do believe she was somehow. I think she said that because she thought she was gonna get a different reaction and response from Sydney, and because she probably didn't heard what she had hoped she would hear, that yeah, and because Sydney, of course, she's not the kind of person where she's seeking for attention, in a selfish way, because she's not like that. But as for her cousin, she is. She's seeking attention, and because she's selfish, she's only thinking about herself, and so yeah, I think she was hoping to get a different answer from Sydney, and then when she didn't, I think she felt in a way, I think probably disappointed, and she just felt like, okay, and then she just like walked off. But yes, like I said, this is just a very interesting take on this story of how they tell the story of Scream 4. And so I will say this, the reveal though that Charlie was the Ghostface killer and Jill, I would say that was still surprising, but at the same time it was more like I knew it moment, because I had this feeling it was Charlie, because I did not like him to begin with, because something felt off about him, and I wasn't too sure what to think of Jill. But then after that conversation in the kitchen, I thought, okay, something didn't quite seem right to what she said and even her face expressions as well. So even to me, that seemed odd and off. So I just felt like, okay, I'm not sure what to think of Jill. I don't know whether she's either really innocent or whether she is in on this and she is one of the Ghostface killers. But yeah, I wasn't sure, but somehow I had a feeling, oh gosh, it could be her, it could be Jill. But then, when of course when it did turn out to be, I was just like, I mean, I will say this, I was surprised. I was, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I'm surprised, but I kind of had a feeling it was, because something seemed off about that conversation in the kitchen, but I was hoping it wouldn't be, but it is, and I'm just like now, not only surprised, but I am now, like, now I'm upset with her. So of course it was just very different. But yeah, I didn't like what she did though, to Trevor, like when she shot him right there. Oh, like, really? Okay, that is so cool. That is just, oh, not, that's so not right. Definitely not. So anyway, yes, like I said, overall, okay, so I do not like Charlie and Jill because of the fact that they turn out to be the Ghostface killers, and because I especially didn't like Jill, especially when I came to find out she was the one seeking attention, and she was so jealous of Sydney because she had this attention on her, even though she wasn't seeking for attention, but it happened because of what happened to her mom and because what she was going through, from the first movie and the second and the third, and knowing that in that sense, she was this very jealous, very selfish uh, person, then yeah, that just made me disliked her even more. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you. I mean, should I say it? Because I will say this though, because whenever I do upload my videos, it will say, is it meant for children? Is it not? But then I always put it's not. So yeah, and I think for those who are mostly watching my channel here, my videos are just mainly um, adults. So, but yeah, she was a real you know what. So I did not like her. So, you know what I mean? I hate well when people are like that, where they have this ego and where it's all about them and they don't care about anything else or anyone else, and that is just, that itself is a very, it's very unattractive, you know, in both men and women. And so to see Jill like this, I'm like, oh, I hate you. um but yes, overall, like I said, I still enjoy this movie of the story and the characters and the reveal. I do think the reveal could have been maybe, I don't know, I would say maybe a little bit more, maybe intense of a surprise element, you know, to see who it was. But yeah, overall, I still enjoy this movie and the characters and the performances and just everything else about it. So I do love it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this movie discussion video, which is why it's called Popcorn Chat, because it's a movie discussion of really going into depth a little bit more on the movie, the story, the characters, and everything else. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. So for more movie content, reactions, and dreams, subscribe and click on the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. That's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.